Hello once again. Welcome to Steve Vision. My name is Stephen Christopher Shepard. On tonight's show, I'm going to be telling you another funny joke. This joke is about some firemen at the fire department. There's a fire in a local village, and the fire department's called. The fire captain got his truck and his team together, and they hauled ass out of the firehouse and made their way. Fire that was burning down the house over in the village. Finally gets to the house. They set up their hose, and the Captain Tom, he orders Steve, Joe, and Mark to go into that house and put the fire out, please. And so Steve, Mark, and Joe go into the fire inside the house, and they extinguish that fire with a big water hose. Man, I mean, they put that fire out. But Joe and Mark, they got smoke inhalated a little bit. Joe especially, he got it bad. So Mark gets Joe and he holds him and pulls him out of that house. Steve helps Mark get Joe out of that house because he couldn't breathe anymore. Smoke got to him bad. So they pull Joe out of that house, bring him over to the captain and get him breathing a little bit better. And the captain tells Mark, says, "Mark, take Joe over somewhere away from this fire, please, and help him bring his breathing back to normal." So Mark takes Joe off now. And Steve and the captain and the others, they clean up the fire, all the embers and everything that were inside the house. And so that took about a half an hour or so until the fire is just totally out. And so the fire Captain Tom gets all his boys around, and everybody checks out their equipment. And Captain Tom looks around and says, "Steve, where the hell is Mark and Joe, sir?" And Stephen looks at Captain Tom and says, "I haven't seen them, sir." And Captain Tom says, "Steve, would you go please look for Joe and Mark for me?" So Stephen takes off looking for them because they can't find them. They disappeared somewhere. So Steve, he sees this little 7-Eleven superstore Jiffy Mart kind of place that was just right down the road from the fire, not very far, maybe 200 feet or so. And so Steve goes and looks around that building, and he walks around slowly now around to the back side of that building, and he takes a good look down at the back of that building, and he sees Mark and Joe over in the shadow of that building where nobody can see him. And Mark, he's got Joe on his knees, boy, and Mark's in a prone position right at the butthole of Joe, and he's really working him slow, making love to Joe too, boy. I mean, Steve's sitting there watching him, watching Mark make love to Joe, and he runs off before Joe and Mark sees him, and he goes gets Captain Tom and says, "Captain Tom." "Yes, Steve, what is it?" "Come look with me." So Captain John and Steve, they hurry over, and they slowly make their way behind that building, and Mark still got him, but it ain't going slow anymore. He's really rabid, he got him good this time. And Joe's giving out a little holler. He squeaks sometimes, and Mark's like, "Oh, I love you, boy." And Captain Tom's like, "God damn, Mark, what the hell are you doing, son?" And Mark looks over, and he sees the captain and Steve standing there watching him. He pulls his penis out of Joe's ass and wipes it off, puts his pants up. Joe puts his pants up, and they walk over to the captain. And Mark's like, "Well, sir, you told me to give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and bring him back. And, well, that's kind of how it all happened." We start kissing, and one thing led to another. He got on all fours and offered up his butt to me. And, well, I just couldn't resist. So I pat Joe, Captain Tom. And Captain Tom looks at him and says, "Hey, shit on it."
Turn on